Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, March the 20th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith. We got David back in the house as usual on a Friday, and we're breaking down the Friday NHL card. We got 5 games on tap tonight in NHL action. We'll get to those. Obviously, the March Madness, college basketball continues today as well, so lots going on. Before we get into last night's recap and then looking ahead to today, we do want to mention Alex B. Smith and his great article, by the way, great feature piece on Alex in the Chicago Sun-Times that I know he posted earlier today. It was great. You know, it was really well done by Rob, who put that together, who wrote it. Really made it sound like a story. It felt like you were reading the life and times of Alex B. Smith. It really was. You know, his younger days and growing up, and how he fell in love with hockey, and how, you know, his passion for betting and handicapping started. And how he never thought he'd be doing what he's doing, what we're doing today, you know, some 20 years ago. It was just such a great article. It was really well written, well put together by Rob. And I know, Alex, I understand completely why you said this is like one of the highlights for you to be featured here in the Chicago Sun-Times, of course, a publication right from the place you were born and raised.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has been, last couple of weeks talking with Rob Misch, who's the gambling writer for the Sun-Times, and putting this whole article together, and it just came out beautifully. The link was on my Twitter. If you're in the Chicagoland area on Sunday, it would be in the sports section of the Sunday Sun-Times, which is always was a big deal for me growing up. Like I said, it's a newspaper that I read every single day of my life. And, before we had Twitter and had YouTube and had all these things, it was, grabbing the newspaper, flipping it over to the back, and reading the sports section. So to be in the sports section on a Sunday, no less, coming up, is truly a life honor. And to mention, my parents, my grandparents, and their history, and how all of that helped to mold me being right here where I am in front of you guys today. It is truly special. So thanks to Rob, thanks to the Sun-Times, and thanks to everybody. If you're in Chicagoland on Sunday, please grab a copy.
I love the part at the end, too, of that article. I don't want to give it all away. I want you guys to read it. You should, obviously it's great and it was well done. But I love the part at the end where the work ethic is talked about. The fact that, Alex's parents were hardworking people. Obviously, they didn't take many days off. And guess who doesn't take many days off doing a certain hockey show and hockey podcast? These two guys. So, yeah, it basically fits right in line with that. Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
7 days a week. Every game, we're here for you guys right here on the Ice Guys show. Nothing beats hard work. There's no question. You put in the time, you put in the work. Oftentimes, you're going to see the results. And that's certainly the way it's been for my NHL season. It's not the way it's been for show best bets lately. God almighty, we got to get out of this slump. My God, Seattle, Nashville over, died on the vine after the early in the second period last night. And here's the thing with the best bet slump. I'm actually doing okay. I'm not doing great, but I'm doing okay with the overall NHL betting results. And it's important to differentiate that, and it's still been a phenomenal season, close to 60 units on the season. It's just, unfortunately, in one of those ruts where I am not making the right choice with the best bet. And I haven't really changed my process or anything. So we'll see if we can get it going today and get back in the win column with it later today. But regardless, last night, we'll get into it right now. It was obviously a very entertaining night. Every night is going to be an entertaining night as far as the rest of the regular season, with so many division races and wild card playoff positions still very much up for grabs. Like I said, it's going to be great to watch down the stretch. Montreal-Detroit was a great game. Detroit 3-1 win over the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal had a 1-0 lead going into the third, but we saw, obviously, JT Compher tie it. And then it looked like we might have a draw, because we were both, I think, on the draw, Alex and I, with Montreal-Detroit. And then all of a sudden we see that it was just a really tough moment for Mike Matheson. I mean, the puck's bobbling there. He misplays it, and then he stumbles and he falls down, and there's DeBrincat all alone on Jakub Dobish, and he makes no mistake in finishing off that glorious chance to give Detroit a 2-1 lead. And then Andrew Kopp back in the lineup, and they were happy. He played a great game in his return, I thought, for the Detroit Red Wings. He gets the empty netter and a big 2 points for Detroit. 3-1. They beat the Montreal Canadiens. Again, the Detroit goals, the non-empty net goals, defensive breakdowns, and that continues to be the element of Montreal's game that we're concerned about right now and moving forward. When they give up goals, it's usually because someone doesn't take a man in front of the net. There's a loss of coverage. There's some kind of defensive mistake in assignment, and it's been happening a lot for Montreal, and we saw it really burn them again on the 2 Detroit goals last night. Jackets take care of business, 6-3 win over the New York Rangers. That was a good game. Results-wise, we had the over, and we had especially Columbus team total over 3.5, cashed very easily as they get 6 on the board, and they beat the New York Rangers 6-3 in that game. And by virtue of that win and what happened in Ottawa, with the New York Islanders losing to the Ottawa Senators 3-2, and another draw, heartbreaker, gut-wrencher for me, Alex, anyone else on that Isles Sens draw, we're 12 seconds away from cashing it, but then a puck hits a skate, goes right to Brady Tkachuk, and not much chance for Ilya Sorokin. He's able to bang it home and give Ottawa a stunning regulation victory there, 3-2. But because of that regulation loss for the Islanders and the Blue Jackets win, yes, they're tied in points, the Blue Jackets, with the Islanders, but they have a game in hand. So the Blue Jackets technically have that third Metro spot over the New York Islanders for now. So they are in a playoff spot after last night, the Jackets. So for the first time during this great run, they have climbed the mountain. They're in a playoff spot. Obviously, they can't let their foot off the gas pedal. Lots of work to be done. But Columbus has got themselves back into the mix once again and currently occupying the third Metro spot and in playoff position. Boston furthers their playoff position with a very impressive, solid 6-1 win against the Winnipeg Jets. And how about the bargain bin? Pavel Zacha coming through for us last night, plus 310 to get a bargain bin special winner home for me from that game. Great to see that. Chicago and Spencer Knight. Yeah, I forgot about the fact Chicago was playing against Colorado. I was pretty sure it was going to be Soderblom, but I did forget that, hey, they play tonight, so maybe saving Soderblom for tonight against Colorado. They went back to Spencer Knight against Minnesota last night. Played very well. Blackhawks get a 2-1 victory over the Minnesota Wild. Little payback, obviously, for losing in overtime in Minnesota the previous game. It was a really good game for Connor Bedard as well for the Blackhawks. He ends up getting what stood to be the game-winning goal, and a nice 2-1 victory there for Chicago. And again, Spencer Knight rock solid in net. Yeah, this game ticked me off. Seattle, Nashville. I told you, Seattle's just been my most frustrating team all year. Really is. I mean, I did have a couple overs with them recently, but the one I really liked was that over last night. I did have the first period over, so we at least got that. But, scoring cooled off after that. You can only score one goal against Justus Onanen, and, that's very frustrating. And could get the offense going, and Nashville gets a 3-1 win there against the Seattle Kraken. So disappointing loss because they just lost at home to Nashville, starting a road trip. They got bombed by Tampa, and to respond and be pretty tepid like that, very disheartening for Seattle. And Seattle is that team I'm most worried about right now. There's a lot of teams I'm worried about: Vegas, Edmonton, you name it. But Seattle's right up there. Definitely concerns about whether they've got that staying power to maintain a playoff spot in the West. Florida shutting out Edmonton 4-0. The one thing that I was worried about going into this game for the Oilers was everyone pulled up the bootstraps and played well without Leon Draisaitl in that first game, and oftentimes we see it go the other way in the second game, right? And boy, did we see it last night. I mean, they weren't very good, Edmonton. Florida obviously played a pretty sound road game, but I didn't think Edmonton played anywhere close to their best. But give the Panthers credit. They continue to show that they own the Edmonton Oilers right now. 4-0 win over Edmonton, shutting out the Oilers, and a shutout for Sergei Bobrovsky last night, and a shutout for Alex Lyon. 5-0 Buffalo. He is now one road win away from, I believe, a record, road consecutive wins record for Alex Lyon. Going into this one. So like I said, it is absolutely amazing to see, what's going to be happening here with the Buffalo Sabres, but they just seemingly cannot lose at this point in time. It's been a remarkable run. Another win last night 5-0 against San Jose. I will say, I mean, they got outshot 23-16, and especially in the second period, if not for Alex Lyon, it could have been a different result. And it was just one of those periods where 3 shots on goal in the second period for the Buffalo Sabres. And can you believe it that all 3 shots went in the net? 3 goals on 3 shots in the second. They only had 3 shots the whole second period, and all 3 shots were goals for the Buffalo Sabres. That doesn't tell you everything's coming up Buffalo right now. I don't know what is. I mean, that's a crazy-ass stat. 3 shots the whole period, and all of them are goals for Buffalo in that 5-0 win. And that 3-goal second period just crushed the spirit, of San Jose. It really did. So 5-0 Buffalo. They continue to roll, and they maintain their spot 4 points up on Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay keeps pace, beating Vancouver 6-2 last night. We did cash the over in that game. We cashed Utah. They shut out Vegas 4-0. Utah's playing well on the road right now. And Vegas just, for whatever reason, the offense has dried up a little bit. Aiden Hill have been playing well, but not last night. Has a bad, rough start. Schmidt ends up replacing him in that game. But again, issues continue for the Vegas Golden Knights, and they lose 4-0 at home to the Utah Mammoth. And that's back-to-back shutout losses at home for the Vegas Golden Knights as well, because they got shut out 2-0 by Buffalo game before that. And then the end of the night, 4-3 Philly. This was actually a good result. We had the over. Of course, we've been talking about the Kings overs. And how about that draw season? Yeah. After some snake bit results with a couple of the other games, we could have had the draw in Detroit. We could have had the draw cashing in Ottawa. But we do finally hit one at the end of the night there with the Flyers and the Kings. The Flyers are on a ridiculous draw streak right now. It's pretty crazy how many draws Philadelphia's cashed lately. And another one for them last night, and a nice win for them in the shootout, beating the LA Kings last night by a score of 4-3. So very entertaining night when it was all done, up and down betting wise. But like I said, a lot of entertaining hockey once again. Alex, your thoughts?
It's funny. We talk about how, you said it's going to continue to get entertaining from a nightly basis in the NHL, but we're still seeing the plight and downfall of the Pacific Division. You had the top 6 teams in the division play last night. They go 0-5-1, get combined outscored 26-6. Oilers, Vegas, and Sharks, all 3 teams getting shut out. It's just fascinating. Normally you see teams ramping up and getting better at this time, and this whole division just seems to be collectively getting worse. And we're seeing flaws. And when you add Minnesota to that mix, we're seeing flaws out of 6, potentially 7 of the 8 teams that are going to be representing the West in the playoffs. And it's maddening. It's funny when you talk about people ask you, well, who do you like futures wise? I can't take a bet with anybody futures wise right now. I got to wait until the first day of the playoffs potentially, or a couple days before, to really nail down what I like and what I'm going to see, because there's so many teams that, and like I said, I don't know. I don't think this is all even can be blamed on the condensed schedule either. I think it's just you have teams that are just falling into their worst hockey at all the same time. And where you could say the opposite in the Central, where you got Dallas and Colorado playing well, except Minnesota was hanging around for a while. They're still in the race, obviously, but the form is just not good with some of these teams. And like I said, we got snake bit on a few draws last night. That late goal from Kachuk in the Ottawa Islanders game. Minnesota had a 5-on-3 opportunity against the Hawks, chance to tie it. Couldn't get anything done there. Had a incredible shot chance at the final seconds. Alex Vlasic makes a big save to help out Knight keep that puck out of the way. That was a draw that I liked quite a bit and played like a game that was going to go to overtime. We saw it with 3 previous meetings before with those 2 teams, but the Hawks held on. Another great effort from Spencer Knight. Connor Bedard, love seeing him getting another goal on the road, taunting the fans. That's fantastic, and stir up some commotion, some energy. These are your rivals you're playing. You're playing your division teams in Utah and here in Minnesota. So I like seeing that spark and energy from him. Especially down the stretch with his teams out of the race, and Minnesota losing 3 home games to last place teams. You can't do that this time of year. We talk about this. You have to get points at home. You have to get points against the opposition that you're better against. And to drop these points, now, like I said, it's not going to knock them out of the playoffs, but you're losing the steam and momentum that carried you for the majority of the season. Now I'm reading, for the game against Dallas coming up tomorrow, they won't have Kaprizov, they won't have Arsenek. Haven't we seen this before? Wild losing late, guys getting hurt heading into the playoffs, and it's usually the same old story of okay, and then they're playing a week of hockey in the playoffs, and then they're out of it. So they've got to figure things out sooner than later. Also, looking at that game as mentioned with Utah and Vegas. I mean, that was just for Vegas to once again at home come out lifeless. What happened to the T-Mobile Arena, the crowd edge and energy that they had from
the
their
fortress?
big,
What happened to it?
right, the big medieval nights pregame show that led into all the energy and commotion, and we always would see them carry
Nobody's
that
here
over.
getting captured in that place anymore. I can tell you
No.
that.
Not at all. Not at all. It's an absolute mess. And you've got teams like Utah that aren't scared to go into a building like that and win games. And that's the kind of dangerous part too, right? You have these Utahs. San Jose, of course, had a bad night last night, but you have these young teams able to build confidence in these arenas that could seem to be intimidating. That's huge. That goes a long way. And for a Utah team who, rarefied air for them, and talk about rarefied air with Buffalo. This is Utah team that they weren't even used to the playoffs when they were, the last few years of the Arizona Coyotes. So a lot of these guys getting their first taste of playing this upper echelon hockey and going on the road and getting big wins, getting shutout wins. Like I said, same thing with Buffalo. Alex Lyon getting another big shutout win. That's huge, and that confidence and momentum, that's what can carry a team, especially when everything's wide open in a playoff race that we have right now.
No question about it. We got some craziness going on with these NCAA tournament games for those that are into college basketball. But that's another story. David, your thoughts on anything from last night hockey-wise?
Yeah, my thoughts are kind of with the Santa Clara, Kentucky under that I just lost on that Bankton 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get to watch many of the games last night. I saw some of the Kraken game. Had the Kraken in that one. Didn't get that one home. Got the Blue Jackets home. But yeah, that was about it. It's kind of locked in on the tournaments for these first couple days of the tournament. So yeah, but ready to go today.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, even for me, I was way more in and out with. I made sure I had the Senator Islander game, the Red Wings Canadians game on, but even I'd be lying if I said I watched a lot of the. I'm trying to see what the I didn't see much of the, Which game did I really not see much? I honestly didn't see much of Florida Edmonton, and I didn't see a whole lot of Utah Vegas. Philly LA, because the basketball was winding down by that point, so I pretty much saw the whole third period of the Philly LA game, which is rare for me. Usually I'm totally locked into almost every NHL game, but you're right, with the tournament going on, you at least got to make that some of your focus. So it's a little bit tougher to balance everything this time of year, but still, at the end of the day, what really helps is on a night like last night when I'm watching a lot of the basketball, the condensed replays for the NHL. I make sure I go through that. So I've got a sense of what went on if I can't watch the game very much start to finish. And boy, does that help. It's like a nice little 10, 15-minute package where you'll get every key chance, scoring chance, save, hit, fight, goal, you name it. Those are really, really useful. If you don't have the chance to watch a game start to finish, you'll still get a pretty good idea, of what transpired, who was better, which team carried the play, that kind of thing.
It's the best way to start a morning. I mean, I know that's how I've started my mornings for the last decade, basically watching the condensed highlights and then of anything that I didn't catch live.
Yeah, no doubt. It definitely helps when you can't watch a game from start to finish. All right, let's go to Friday night. We've got David's Carolina Hurricanes in action. They're taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Carolina, minus 220 road favorites, 6.5 the total here in this one. The Leafs obviously coming off a 3-1, I think it was 3-1. Yeah, loss to the New York Islanders on Wednesday or Tuesday night, rather. They'll be looking to bounce back here tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes. We saw the Leafs really ride this emotional wave, if you will, in the aftermath of Austin Matthews and Radko Gudas. What happened there? They came back to beat Anaheim that night. They gave Buffalo everything they could handle, losing 3-2 to the Sabres in a shootout. They went on the road and beat a good Washington team, albeit struggling a bit right now, 4-2, but they weren't able to sustain it. There was definitely a drop in their, level of emotion, if you will, in the Islander game. Can they ratchet it back up? here against Carolina. That remains to be seen. The Leafs actually went to Carolina the last time they played them and beat Carolina 5-1. It was back on December 4th, quite a long time ago. But that was a game where, that was not one of Freddie Anderson's better games. That being said, I don't think we're going to see Fred tonight. I think it's going to be Brandon Bussey getting the call here for the Carolina Hurricanes tonight in this game. It is confirmed that it is him. Should be Joe Woll for Toronto, not confirmed. This is the front end of a back-to-back for Toronto, so it's probably going to be a split between Stolars and Woll for tonight and the game tomorrow against the Ottawa Senators. I'm just going to go straight forward here and go with Carolina team total over 3.5. Now, I know the Islanders only got to 3 against this Leafs team a couple of days ago, but Carolina with a little bit more punch right now offensively, because Carolina, they scored the 6 against Pittsburgh. And you look at Carolina in victory, and if you assume they're going to win the game, and they probably will win the game tonight, their last 6 wins, they've scored at least 4 goals in every win. So they've gone 6 straight wins scoring minimum 4 goals. So if you think they're going to win the game, and you're talking about a minus 220 road favorite here, why don't you just bet Carolina team total over 3.5 at a reasonable minus 125, minus 130? And that's exactly what I'm doing here. Alex, what do you think? Hurricanes, Leafs?
Yeah, I don't have much on this one. I like first goal, first period with Carolina. Normally, we try to get a plus price with that, but obviously, when you're laying 220 on the money line, you got to lay a little price for that too. Minus $1.10 is what I'm seeing at FanDuel. But I can see Carolina getting off to an early start. And if it maybe not a quick goal, then I can wait and try and grab that team total live, try and get something a little bit closer to plus money. But like I said, this feels like it should be a spot for Carolina to slam dunk. You got to slam dunk these opponents. These bottom tier teams, you have to beat them and beat them handily, and get some pace and momentum on your side. So 4 goals definitely should be doable for the Canes against the Leafs. But I'm gonna pregame go off with the first goal of the first period, minus $1.10.
All right, there you go. Good stuff indeed. I want to point out, too, it's been interesting that Toronto's actually won the last 2 times down in Carolina. Carolina did win the last time here in Toronto, though, and that was back in November by a score of 5-4. So road teams have actually fared well in the recent head-to-head encounters between the Canes and the Leafs. We'll see if that continues tonight. David, how do you see it going for your boys tonight?
Yeah, I got lots of thoughts on this one. I'm with you there with the over and the Hurricanes team total over 3.5. I think Toronto's kind of given up a little bit defensively. You're looking at the game tilt. They're giving up 36 shots on goal against per game over the last 10. That is the most in the league by 5 shots on goal since the break. So per game. So yeah, I'm targeting a lot of Canes props, the Canes team total overs and things like that. Toronto's given up 4 or more expected goals in every single game since the break. They've kind of given up on trying to control the game flow. So I'm looking at a lot of Canes player shots on goal overs. They give up the most to defensemen, centers, and right wings since the break. So I'm targeting a lot of guys, a lot of defender scoring, guys like Slavin at plus 1,200, guys like Nikishin, who's getting a lot of looks on the power play at I think he's plus 650 or so. Some of the defenders shots on goal over. I think we're going to see the Canes control a lot of the zone time. We know that happens in most games anyway. Not as much as it used to, but yeah, I see the Canes team shots on goal over 34.5. I love that. I just think that we control the ice tilt pretty much all of the game. I think that the Leafs have been pretty content with that. I don't think that they've really controlled the puck much at all, especially since Matthews has been out. Yeah, thank you. That was a brutal under, but we're gonna make up for it with the overs in this game. I think Sebastian Aho over 2.5 shots on goal. I think that's around even odds. Guys like Nikishin over 1.5 shots on goal, even odds. Even Slavin, guys like that who are going to get a lot of time in the offensive zone with the Leafs kind of struggling to take care of the puck. So yeah, over 6.5. Canes team total over 3.5. I don't really see how that doesn't get home. And then some of those overs. I think you're good with taking any of our defenders over shots on goal that you can get. pretty much anybody on the team, honestly. So yeah, excited for that one, and got a lot of opinions on it. But yeah, I'm right there with you on the overs.
Yeah, and I like the looks too. And people in the chat, including our guy Dre, Exotic Wagers, mentioning it. It makes a lot of sense. Not just whether it's Carolina Hurricanes over shots on goal, Joe Woll over saves. They're going to be putting a lot of rubber probably at the net. Against Toronto. And one thing I want to point out about Toronto, they've been outshot in 6 straight games and 8 of the last 10 games. I mean, there isn't a game that you watch anymore involving the Leafs where they're not getting caved in at some point for extended stretches. Like they can't get the puck out, and it becomes a shooting gallery at their goaltender, whoever it is, whether it's Woll or Stolarz. And these are some alarming shots against numbers. 40-23 outshot by the Sens, 47-27 outshot by the Devils. 32-29 by Tampa, 32-18 by Montreal, 40-28 by Anaheim, 33-18 by Buffalo, 38-26 by Minnesota, and even in the last game against the Islanders, 34-27. They're getting outshot in every game. The Toronto Maple Leafs are just giving up a shit ton of chances, shots. Their goalies are facing more rubber than a dead skunk on the side of the road, as that old saying that I like to say. That's the issue right now with the Leafs. So whether it's you want to go shots on goal over Carolina, whether you want to go Joe Woll over saves at this point in time, like I said, either one of those make a lot of sense for me here in this game. What also makes a lot of sense is the Stank Man, Logan Stankoven, for Carolina to find the back of the net. He scored in 3 of the last 5 games. He's also had some history scoring against the Leafs. So Logan Stankoven in that plus 350 range. It's probably my favorite goal prop tonight for Carolina in this game for sure. If I were to look at anyone for Toronto, Mark Jankowski's a Hamilton area guy. Maybe this could be a night that he finds the back of the net. He has scored against Toronto in the past. Could be a night to maybe go in that direction. Michelli, we've talked about, been a little bit better offensively lately for Toronto. Is Bo Grew going to cool off? But maybe I'll go give it one more go around with him at plus 700. Bo Grew here to find the back of the net. So, but Stankoven's number one choice for me as far as a goal prop in this game, and especially for the Carolina side of this matchup. All right, New Jersey and Washington next up. We've got Washington minus 130 home favorites. The total here sitting at 6 across the board in this game. Washington, that was I don't know if it was a deserving win. I don't feel it was, because I thought they got outplayed and they relied on Logan Thompson greatness against Ottawa the other night. But a win's a win. It's a big 2 points. They were able to get it done. They were opportunistic. And Ottawa was not able to beat Logan Thompson. That ended up being the difference. Now they take on a New Jersey team that continues to be, playing up and down, track meet, pond hockey. I've been riding New Jersey overs. As you guys know, we cashed another one with Devils Rangers the other night, 6-3. It flew way over the total. It's now been a 6-0-1 over streak for the New Jersey Devils in their last 7 games entering tonight. I am on the over tonight. I don't love it, though. And I don't love it because Washington's like the antithesis of the way New Jersey's playing. New Jersey's trading chances. New Jersey's not playing great defensive hockey. The Capitals are. And Logan Thompson is dialed in right now. So, like I said, I'm going to just be on it because I'm riding a streak. And you know how I am as a bettor when I'm riding streaks. I ride the streak until it stops winning, regardless of the situation. But I am a little bit less enthusiastic about this over tonight because Washington's playing that low and slow style. Thompson's been great. He's been an absolute beast in net. So if New Jersey has their way and this gets up and down, New Jersey's got to get the lead. This could be one where I keep the pregame bet small with over 6 here in this game. If New Jersey takes the lead, then I might add a live over then, because then Washington's got to open up. But if this game's tied or Washington's got the lead, Washington's not going to open up. That's not the way they've been playing lately. So this could be one where just because I've been riding the streak, we'll bet it pregame small. But I'm going to only add to it if New Jersey's got the lead, because then at that point, the Capitals will have to open things up a little bit if they're trailing. So that's kind of my approach. Like I said, I've been riding the Devils overs. I will take it here, but with a little bit of trepidation. Alex, what do you think here, Devils, Capitals?
I think this is one we'll be able to wait for, honestly, and get a better price, maybe with a 5.5. Yep. 5.5, maybe even toward closer to plus money with this one, because like you said, Washington at home and play a lower, slower style. But New Jersey, I don't know, we got to come up with a new term. I would say New Jersey's kind of buffaloing us right now. because that's just how Buffalo would play, right? If they're out of the playoffs, now all of a sudden they're winning games, they're scoring goals left and right. We can't say that about the Sabres anymore. We have to pick a new term, but that's the way New Jersey's kind of carrying themselves. You said the same thing with the Rangers too. All of a sudden, now they're out of it. Now their offense has come alive, and these overs have been cashing in. So I do think we'll have time for the overs. I think the overs will eventually come through, but I think there's no reason to grab a 6. Wait and grab a 5.5. I don't want anything to do even with the first period over. I just want to focus in on this full game over, getting it down to 5.5, maybe somewhere in that minus 120, 125 range live, and playing it from there.
All right, there we go. You know what? I am gonna now. Just seeing it now. There's some real strong draw history. 3 of the last 5. Both games this year have gone past regulation between them. 1 game in Washington, 1 game in New Jersey. And if this game's close or tied late, Washington's not going to ruin the chance of getting at least a point out of this game. Every point's valuable for them. I don't think it matters much to them if New Jersey gets anything. So, like I said, I think the draw here in this game, I'll sprinkle on that as well. Each of the 2 previous meetings have gone past regulation this season between them. 1 in New Jersey, 1 in Washington. David, what do you think here? Devils, Capitals.
Yeah, I'm kind of auto on the Devils right now. If you look at their analytics since the break, they're at a plus 13 expected goal margin since the break. And if you look at it, it looks like a Bitcoin chart, just trending down the whole season. Then right after the break, they just spike right up. I don't know if something about the Hughes Olympic break kind of brought them some life or something, but I think it's a little too little too late. But I don't know how you can't bet them right now. They've played 7 of their most dominant 9 games in terms of expected goal margin since the break, trending straight up. So yeah, I like them as a dog against a Capitals team I don't really know what to expect much from. They're playing a lot of games really close, and I just don't know if they're going to show up. They got a little bit better chance to make the playoffs, so I guess they get a little bit of a boost for that. But I think the Devils are kind of, they've been back down against a wall the entire time with that playoff odds dwindling, and they're playing pretty decently. So yeah, I like the Devils as a dog at plus 110.
Here's the Capitals' problem. They thought they were getting themselves a big 2 points against Ottawa, one of the teams that's also chasing down a playoff spot. They thought, big 2 points, we're going to move a little bit closer. No, you're not, because guess what happened last night? Boston won, Detroit won. That's the problem, right? You're just not getting the teams you need to catch losing enough. You're just not. They think they're finally going to make some inroads on the final wild card spots, and they make no inroads whatsoever, even though they beat Ottawa the other night, because Boston and Detroit were both victorious last night. So Washington is still 8 points behind both the Bruins and the Red Wings for those final 2 wild card spots, and they are 7 back of Columbus for third in the Metro. And actually, they're tied in points with the Islanders, but right now the Blue Jackets currently have that spot. So that's the issue right now at this point in time with Washington. Yeah, you could pick up 2 points, and yeah, you could have the opportunity to at least build, a little bit of an opportunity to win games and try to get the gap closed. But when the other teams aren't losing, it becomes a problem, and it's going to make it all that much more difficult probably for the Caps to be able to make it. As far as goal props here in this game, Gritschick's been starting to percolate for New Jersey. Going in that direction might be worth a look. Jesper Bratt, Connor Brown have both scored in back-to-back games for the Devils entering this one. Protas, Wilson on the Washington side. It was an empty net goal, but how about it? In his NHL debut, defenseman Cole Hudson, Lane's brother, in his NHL debut, getting an empty net goal, and he didn't look out of place. It was scary to see how well he played for his first NHL game. Like, he looked poised with the puck, made good plays, good reads in the neutral zone, good reads in the offensive zone and the defensive zone. He looked like he was ready for this chance to make his NHL debut. I was impressed with the poise that he put on display there in his first game in the NHL. So Lane Hudson, we know, is going to be a pretty good NHL defenseman. Maybe his brother Cole's got a pretty bright future ahead of him as well. All right, next up as we continue along here, we've got there we go. It's there we go. Windy City, Colorado, and Chicago. We've got Colorado minus 300, road favorites minus 320 actually in some spots, and the total here 6.5 in this game. Colorado, Chicago might be walking into a tough situation here because they're on a back-to-back. after the win against Minnesota last night. Colorado with the rest advantage because they last played on Wednesday night in the loss to the Dallas Stars. And, of course, now that's back-to-back losses for the Colorado Avalanche against Pittsburgh and Dallas going into this game. So you'd expect Colorado to not take Chicago lightly at this point in time. Like I said, it's actually 3 straight losses in a row for the Avs. If you go back to the Winnipeg game, I had forgotten about that. They lost to the Jets in that spot Saturday afternoon, 3-1, where they came in late. I think they had plane issues getting into Winnipeg. I remember that. So they lost that game. They got, crushed by Pittsburgh after that, 7-2, and then they lose 2-1 in a shootout to the Dallas Stars. So it hasn't been their best stretch of hockey right now, this this Colorado Avalanche team. But tonight, they're catching Chicago on the back-to-back. We're likely going to see Arvid Soderblom in net tonight. He is expected, obviously, with Knight getting the start last night. What's interesting is Mackenzie Blackwood is starting tonight for the Colorado Avalanche, and he's had some issues himself lately for the Avs. I've talked about how he's been kind of fighting the puck in some of the recent games we've seen him in net. What's very interesting is that it was not a back-to-back. This is not a back-to-back for the Avalanche. They actually play in Washington on Sunday. So this is Jared Bednar again, kind of. He's hell-bent on fucking getting Mackenzie Blackwood going and letting Mackenzie Blackwood show that he can be his number one goalie. Because, I don't know, with the game he played, even in a losing cause against Dallas the other night, I would have considered Scott Wedgwood again tonight, but I'm not the coach. And there's no doubt in my mind there's some favoritism with Jared Bednar to Mackenzie Blackwood. We've seen it time and time again. There's been spots to put Wedgwood in after a solid performance, and we're not seeing it. So he clearly has a little favoritism right now, does Jared Bednar, to Mackenzie Blackwood, and he'll be in net. But unfortunately for Blackwood, I don't love his current form. I think Colorado comes out strong. I'm going to go with Colorado to get a goal in the first 10 minutes, specifically Colorado to get a goal in the first 10 minutes. We know Soderblom could be very capable here of giving up an early one in this game. And Colorado, you would think this is the right spot to have a strong, real good start after 3 straight losses. Come in here, mean business going into this game. And again, it is plus 130. I see at Bet365, Colorado to score in the first 10 minutes. So plus 130, Colorado to score in the first 10 minutes. I like that. I'm going to go with both teams to score in the first period here as well, because our system is in play. That's right, the minus 300 or greater favorite, which means the big dog, in this case Chicago, to get a goal in the first period. So rather than, this is one time I'm not going to take Chicago to score in the first period on its own, because I think Colorado's getting on the board. I will eschew betting Chicago to score in the first period and just go with Avs to get a goal in the first 10 at plus 130, and that both teams to score in the first period as well here in this game. And obviously, when you look at Bet365, as far as both teams to score in the first period, and check FanDuel because their prices are usually pretty good. I know it's plus 155 right now at Bet365. Might even be a better price than that at FanDuel. Those are the likes. Those are the looks that I like the most in this game. Colorado goal in the first 10 minutes, plus 130, and the both teams to score, plus 155 or better in the first period. I will add, if I see it at a better price than what it is, Colorado team total over 3.5. I'm not betting it pregame at this price because we're talking about minus 160 right now with it. We'll wait for that to drop a little bit and see if we can get it in more of our minus 120 or better range during the game. Alex, what do you think here? Colorado, Chicago.
Yeah, so last night I did bet Hawks to score a goal in the first period, minus $1.10. But now I will be adding both teams to score, and I like that look with Avalanche. Goal in first 10 minutes, plus 140 is the price you can actually get over at Bet Online. With the both teams to score, as you mentioned, FanDuel, best price available for that, plus 182 for both teams.
I figured they would. They usually do.
Yeah, that's the market to attack there. And I like this Avalanche team total at a flat 4, minus $1.15. And there's a reason that we're seeing Blackwood confirmed. His numbers against the Hawks have been fantastic. 5-0-2 with a 1.96 goals against and a 922 save percentage in 8 career starts against the Hawks. So there's a reason they're giving him the game. And like I said, we've seen Spencer Knight the last 3 games, so more than likely this is an Arvid Soderblom start. And usually when we see the Hawks come off of a nice win like they had last night, tough win here in St. Paul, now going back home catching a Colorado team that's been slumping, as you mentioned, I think this might be an ugly night for the Avs. So give me a Colorado team total over 4 flat minus $1.15 at BetMGM. Hawks to score in the first, along with that first period, both teams to score. But I will have a little sprinkle of that as well. Avalanche to score in the first 10 minutes.
This is the perfect example of why I've got great. I love what we do on this show and how we discuss things and how we go through every game, and we try to get creative in games like this when you're talking a game involving a minus 320 favorite. You've just got to find different ways to bet certain things.
Yeah.
You just have to. And even just your straight regular, like I said, Colorado team total over 3.5 is minus 165. And usually we say with a big favorite, just take the team total over. You really can't do that pregame unless you want to lay minus 165 with 3.5. Otherwise, you just got to go with a pregame alt team total, let's say 4.5, and roll with that. That's why I love this show, because we always come up with some unique, creative, different, outside the box ways to go about getting at things from a betting standpoint. We think Colorado's coming out storming. We think they're going to get on the board early. We don't want to take over 3.5 team total pregame. I don't at this price. You can't take Chicago to get a goal in the first period because that price is astronomical. You could make a case for Colorado team total over 1.5 in the first period at plus money. But I just thought that this could be a good time to jump in and look toward that first 10 minutes market for Colorado to get one in the first 10 minutes tonight, which, as I said, is plus 130 at Bet365. I think that's a good price, a good situation. And I think there's a real good shot. They're ready to roll and get a goal and get on the board in that opening 10 minutes of this game tonight. Plus, it sure helps that Soderblom's in that. And if off the top of my head, I kind of think Soderblom's had an issue giving up some goals quickly in games of late. I mean, I know, I think in a few of his recent starts, he's given up one in the first 5-10 minutes of a game. So it fits that thought process even more, that Colorado, in my mind, can get on the board in the first 10.
You can pick any time within 60 minutes of a contest and find areas where he's given up goals.
Yeah, no question. David, it's a big favorite, so you got to get creative maybe in this one. How are you approaching it, Colorado, Chicago?
Yeah, I don't have anything right now, but the only way I can go with this is with Colorado, probably minus 1.5. Not sure what the odds are right now. Should be like minus 120 or so. But yeah, Soderblom in net, he's a massive downgrade from Knight. I mean, you're looking at a Chicago team who just had a pretty tight revenge win against the Wild last night. I think this is the third game in 4 days for the Blackhawks. Yeah, I mean, Colorado's kind of, the only thing that worries me is Colorado kind of coasting a bit. They've kind of established themselves, they put the points up already, and I think we can kind of see with some of their results, they've kind of been struggling. I think they get it done, and I like the minus 1.5. I haven't gotten there yet, but yeah, that's the only way I can go.
All right, there we go. Excellent. As far as, not too much right now as far as props in this game. I do want to point out that we did see Mikheyev and Bedard get the goals last night for Chicago. Frank Nazar goals in 3 of the last 5 games for the Blackhawks entering tonight. If you look at Colorado's lineup going into this game, obviously they've had Lehkonen out, Landeskog out, Colton out. Looks like those 3 might still be missing. Natchez has been good lately, though, for them. Nichushkin and McKinnon is where Natchez is on that top line. Kadri, Nelson, Nick Waugh on the second line for them. Right now, I think this could be one of these instances where it could be Kadri. I think Waugh's got some value as well. And I'm going to take a shot just because I love the name. He was called up, and he's going to be in the line. Actually, he played against Dallas as well the other night. He's on the 4th line here. Ivan to score me a goal for the Colorado Avalanche tonight. We'll take a shot down on that 4th line. Obviously, look, opportunity, I think, for him. Now he's got a game under his belt. Since he's been back. So we'll take a shot that maybe he can find the back of the net here tonight for Colorado. All right, Florida, Calgary. We've got even money pretty much, minus 110 here, both sides, 5.5, 6 the total here in this game. I don't know what to make of Calgary. It's got to give Calgary some level of praise for beating St. Louis. That was a brutal scheduling spot. We talked about it. They were coming off a long road trip. They hadn't been playing great. St. Louis had been playing good hockey, and yet the Flames were able to get a victory in that game the other night against the St. Louis Blues to start this homestand. and snap their 2-game losing streak. They are still just 3-7 in their last 10 games, but it was a gutsy win. Considering coming off a long Eastern road trip, it was a terrible spot for Calgary, and they still managed to win and get 2 points out of it. And they had 3 goals taken away, 100%, Tim, with the 3 successful challenges from Jim Montgomery in that game to wipe 3 potential Calgary goals off the board. It might say more about the Blues, and that's true. And the Blues now have dropped 2 in a row. I think this is a no-show game waiting to happen for Florida, quite honestly. I actually am going to bet Calgary here, -110. Just situationals. That's what it's about for me. Tarasov's going to play. He hasn't been very good the last few times we've seen him. He got your big Stanley Cup final win last night in the rematch against Edmonton. They actually did come to play last night, Florida. You could tell. They weren't happy with their 2 losses to Vancouver, Seattle, Edmonton. They had that one night where, intensity and emotion and passion got stirred up in the Florida Panthers last night, and they played like it. And now you're playing the end of this road. This is a long road trip it's been. This is the last game of the road trip. After a big win last night, is playing the Calgary Flames really going to stimulate you and excite you going into this game? I'm not so sure about that. You go home after this. They're probably excited to get back to Florida, too. It's been a while. This is just, especially a team that's not making the playoffs. I think this could be no-show time for Paul Maurice and the Florida Panthers tonight. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they're just better than Calgary and they step up and win, but I think this is just, let's go home, baby. As that's what Steve Goldstein, the great voice of the Florida Panthers, Goldie on Ice, whenever they win in overtime, let's go home, baby. He always says, let's go home, baby, is what Florida's thinking, I think, going into this game. I can't imagine they're that amped up to play the Calgary Flames tonight. And just on that basis alone, give me Calgary -110. And Wolf had a good game against St. Louis. He'll be in net tonight. And like I said, Tarasov hasn't been all that great lately when he's been in net for the Panthers, and he'll be the goalie that we see tonight. So give me Calgary here, -110. Alex, what do you think? Panthers, Flames.
Yeah, initially when I looked at this game, I'm just thinking, okay, over 5.5. Like I said, Florida, getting some momentum off of that win last night. Calgary, like I said, having goals taken off the board. But he said this could be a spot where we see maybe Florida let down. If that's the case, where are the goals going to come from? Because Calgary hasn't necessarily been lighting it up ad nauseum, and if they control the pace, they want to play a lower, tighter style. Somebody in chat mentioned under, but I worry about the under too, because these are still 2 bad teams, and a soft goal here or there, and all of a sudden you're looking at this game flying about. So it's probably going to be a pass for me. Like I said, I can't back Calgary money line. I've been burned with them one too many times right now. And like I said, if this was maybe last night's matchup, I'd be leaning more toward Florida, looking toward an over combination. But yeah, there's no reason to bet this game for me, so it's a pass.
Nothing wrong with that. David, what do you think here? Panthers, Flames.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. The only place I can go with this is to Calgary, but I don't know if I can really stomach betting them right now. They've kind of fallen off a cliff analytically since the break. I think they've kind of, after selling at the deadline, I think that they've kind of not given up on the season. Obviously, they're still playing hard and getting some wins, like the tough one against St. Louis. But analytically, they're at -15 expected goal margin since the break, struggling a little bit. It's also a really weird spot for Florida, getting that Stanley Cup final rematch back to back with a win last night. I wouldn't be surprised if, like you said, it's just the let's go home kind of thing. So yeah, the only way I can go with this is the Flames, but I don't think I can stomach it.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's for me. I'm even a little bit surprised. I'm actually pulling the trigger and betting Calgary here, but I just feel deep down inside like Florida just doesn't give a shit tonight about this hockey game. I really think there's going to be that element in the way they play tonight. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they play well tonight, but like I said, it's got all the makings of a team that's not making the playoffs, team that actually stepped up last night against a team they've got some history with. Back-to-back times they faced Edmonton in the Cup final. That tonight's just this game can fuck right off type of thing.
Right. I think we're going to see that a lot.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see that a lot the rest of the season with the Panthers. Yeah. I think they're kind of, they did the thing. They had their run. A lot of these guys, I think, are looking forward to golfing. So, yeah.
Calgary's actually played Florida tough, too. Believe it or not, I'm looking at history. 6-2, the Flames in the last 8 meetings against the Panthers. And they beat them in Florida earlier this year by a score of 5-3 back in November. And that was Cooley and Tarasov that game, and they put 4 goals, 5 with the empty netter. But yeah, they had success against the guy that they're going to face again tonight.
You know what's interesting too about Florida? The next 2 games when they go back home against Seattle, where we saw them get dummied in Seattle to begin this trip, and then playing against Minnesota at home. So 2 teams who definitely are going to want points when Florida comes back home off of this long road trip all the way in Western Canada to going back to South Florida. Yeah, things could get ugly for the Panthers moving forward.
Yeah, as far as props, I do like still tonight. It looks like I think he scored last night for them too. Anton Lundell. Even though Bennett's back, Bennett's actually centering Verhaeghe and Matthew Tkachuk right now. Anton Lundell, I still think worth a look here. And then for Calgary, the thing with the Calgary Flames is Blake Coleman's on the top line. There's some decent value there. Gridden's had some chances for the Flames. Sharon Govich, Coronado. Stick to the guys that have some actual chance to finish, on this Calgary team. And they've all had chances lately. Sometimes it is Calgary. Sometimes the puck's just not going in for these guys. But Coronado, Zary, Gridden, Sharon Govich, Coleman, players like that, you can make a decent case that maybe they can find the back of the net tonight. And they did score 5 against Florida when Tarasov was in net against the Flames earlier this season. So maybe it can be done for Calgary offensively tonight. All right, last game for this Friday slate. We've got Anaheim and Utah. Back-to-back for the Mammoth after a great shutout win last night in Vegas against the Golden Knights. Utah -130 home favorites in this one, 6.5 the total here between these 2 teams. Back-to-back for Utah, but now they're back home as a favorite. We talked about several shows now with Utah. They've actually been better on the road lately, and I know they had a nice few games on this recent road trip that wrapped up last night. They beat Dallas. They beat Vegas, 2 playoff-bound teams. We think playoff-bound teams in the case of Vegas, but 2 teams currently in a playoff spot. And overall on the road, they're 5-2 in their last 7 road games. But for some reason at home, they haven't been great at Delta Center. They blow a game where they're up 2-0 against Pittsburgh. They lose 4-3. They lose back-to-back home games against Alex's Chicago Blackhawks. Utah losing back-to-back home games against them going into that one. So they just haven't been good at home lately. I don't know what else there is to say. They have not been able, Utah, to translate the way they've played on the road back home with them. For some reason, they get out of their element. They get uncomfortable. They don't play as well defensively either at home. They've been playing some real good, solid road team defense in these 2 wins against Dallas and Vegas, and they haven't been able to duplicate that. I also don't know if I'm thrilled, and I like Turin. Turin's done a great job. We've talked about that. But I don't know if I love the idea of coming back to Karel Vejmelka again tonight. Back-to-back after he got a 28-save shutout. I get it. It was one of his best games, and he was very good last night, no doubt. But I've never loved the idea of putting the goalie in on a back-to-back same night or the very next night, especially when you did face 28 shots. It's not like he only faced 13 shots. He did have to make 28 saves. So, will Vejmelka be able to play at that level again tonight? We'll see, but he is back in net on a back-to-back here for them. Lukas Dostal is in net here tonight for the Anaheim Ducks. They're coming off that was a tough spot for them. They were back home off a road trip, typical NHL schedule makers. They have, where Anaheim's on this East Coast trip, you put them back home against Philly, and now you got them traveling again the very next game to Utah for this game. That's a little bit rough. I like this spot, though, for Anaheim, and I certainly like this price. And another thing that pushed me toward actually betting Anaheim here tonight in this game is the fact that the last time they played Utah, now it was a while back, but Utah went into Anaheim and embarrassed them. It was 7-0 Utah over Anaheim back on December 3rd. That's the last time they played. I think Anaheim, that might resonate here with them in the back of their minds. They're off a loss. I usually like Joel Quenneville's team off a loss. They've been a good bounce-back team most of the season. Utah hasn't been as effective or as good as far as their form at home lately. So give me the Quackers here. Quack, 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 quack. Anaheim plus 110. Probably will split it up with team total over as well, but definitely Anaheim money line for me here. I like this spot for them, like this price. And Utah's got to show me they can step up at home. Haven't been so good on home ice at the Delta of late. Alex, what do you think here? Probably a little bit to the over too, Eileen, but I'm going to maybe wait for something live in game. 6.5 is pretty pricey. Might wait for live overs here in this game. Alex, your thoughts? Final game, Anaheim, Utah.
Yeah, I'm right down Anaheim money line. I actually grabbed $1.15, which is still available at Bet Online. Also, like a little piece of the draw here, plus 325. Decent price with two teams, obviously. Certainly not turning down 8 points. Both you're trying to make the playoffs, and of course with that Anaheim plus 550 to win an overtime or shootout available at FanDuel. I grabbed that as well. Like you said, Utah, yeah, not showing the same spark at home. We talked about how great it is for them to be able to get wins on the road, play in tough places like Vegas, get a shutout win, but now you have to come home and defend your turf as well, especially against a team that you could be possibly facing in the playoffs in Anaheim in that first round. So you want to get that momentum going. But like I said, Anaheim is a team that, like I said, very resilient. You can trust in Coach Q teams off of a loss. So I did grab, like I said, that money line there, but it would not shock me to see this one go past regulation like we've seen a lot with Anaheim lately.
No doubt. They have been involved in some OT games or past regulation, 3 of the last 10, and 3 of the last 5 head-to-head meetings between Anaheim and Utah have gone past regulation. So we have some head-to-head draw history between them as well. What do you think here, David? Last game, Anaheim, Utah.
Yeah, I think I like the Ducks and the over here a bit. I'm kind of surprised they didn't go with Vanacek in net. That kind of surprised me. But honestly, after a shutout, and I think it's kind of a weird spot after a shutout getting thrown back in the net. The next night, I'm sure the Ducks are a little bit pissed off about how last night ended against the Flyers. But yeah, kind of like the over there. I think you can get a good price on the over 6.5 parlayed with the Ducks money line. Should be around plus 300 or so. Yeah, I think it's a weird spot uh, for the Mammoth coming in after 2 big wins. Yeah, I think the Ducks will be hungry, and I think that they get it done. But no official play yet. But I think I'll be on the Ducks and the over in some capacity.
Did my quack, my Aflac duck sound impression? Yeah, the quack woke my pet duck up. Do you really have a pet duck, or are you just being funny there, Phil? But either way, yeah, I do work on that. You're right. With anything, my singing, my voice impressions, my duck, whatever it is, yeah, we do try our best to make it sound good. That is for sure. We do. As far as props for Anaheim and Utah, by the way, obviously, Radko Guda still serving a suspension, so he's still out for Anaheim. So it'll be a Lacombe, Trouba, Zellweger, John Carlson, Pavel Minchikov, and Ian Moore, it looks like, going to be the 6 defensemen here tonight for Anaheim. I mean, Cutter Gauthier back-to-back games with a goal. Clayton Keller for Utah back-to-back games with a goal. Leo Carlson back-to-back games with a goal. And here's the surprising one of the bunch that have scored in back-to-back games. Jack McBain for Utah has scored in back-to-back games, and I even might sprinkle on him with plus 600 being available. Just riding the wave as far as a goal prop with him since he's been finding a little momentum as far as his goal scoring of late. So those are a couple of the props I'd be interested
Michael
in
Carcone with a contract extension. We always talk about the contract bump sometimes.
Yep. I would maybe consider that. And the only other one I'd look at for Utah, again, is Krause, because he remains on the top line and a little undervalued compared to his line mates. All right, great stuff. Great show. Looking forward to the Friday night NHL card. Check out wizardsportspicks.com. Of course, NCAA tournament, March Madness, ongoing. It was an unbelievably good day yesterday in the NCAA tournament. Spectacular day. I mean, it was really, really good. We saw the board well in the NCAA tournament. We're hoping for a big Friday as well. So check it out. And again, not only daily premium picks, but 3-day, 7-day, 30-day, 1-year all sports, all access passes available. I did the Beyond the Lines video today on the YouTube channel. So make sure you check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. And it's not just March Madness. We've still got NHL and NBA every day, and Major League Baseball. Play ball starting next week. Unbelievably, baseball's back. So that's underway as well. So lots going on. Check out wizardsportspicks.com. And, of course, patreon.com/iceguys, $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. Plus, a lot of people have taken advantage of the Dub Club $50 off 1-month all sports subscription discount, which I am only making available to Patreon Ice Guys members. And if you have been getting in on that the last couple of weeks, it's been good. And man, the college basketball results have been really good. So appreciate everyone taking advantage of that. It's still available exclusively for Patreon members on the page. And we are going to have a bunch of betcasts coming up in April and beyond, exclusive to Patreon Ice Guys members. Once this March Madness is finally behind us, it's all hockey from that point on. And that's where the focus is. And we're going to have a ton of betcasts exclusively for Patreon Ice Guys members. So get on board. Again, your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. $10 per month. Patreon.com/Ice Guys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Springtime's officially here. I think today's like the actual first day of spring officially. So hoodies, T-shirts, caps, you name it, we've got it. All some great designs, great colors. Definitely worth picking up right now. So check out the Ice Guys store, support the show, and grab some merch today. That's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Absolutely. Get your gear and your merch. Lots of great items at the Ice Guys store. And yes, we'll put that up on the screen just to, I think even David might be joining us, because I think he told me a couple weeks ago he might join us for a bit for this betcast. Tuesday night, March 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're looking forward to it. Like I said, Ice Guys Live Betcast, our one and only betcast here in this busy month of March. Open to everybody, free for all. We'll go all night through the Tuesday night NHL action, and we purposely scheduled it this Tuesday, March 24th, because we knew there wasn't any college basketball. So, no distractions. It's all about hockey Tuesday night. We're looking forward to it. It's been too long since we've done a betcast, and we'll finally get one going, free for all. Tuesday night, March 24th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the betcast, and we will send you the link for it before it begins. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, great stuff. Oh, and I should have reminded people, too, there's some other hockey going on today, too. I know Robert, our good friend, knows about this. He loves college hockey. It's conference tournament championship weekend.
Yep.
You've got the ECAC, Hockey East, Big Ten, ACHC, all those conferences. They're having their conference tournament championships this weekend, most of them. Some of them are doing semifinals and the final. Some of them are just doing the final, but it's all this weekend, today and tomorrow. Mostly. So we're going to have some Frozen Four tournament tickets punched in the next 24 to 48 hours. So I'm going to try to keep my eye on some of that stuff as well. I know Jimmy Murphy's getting excited about his UMass Minutemen. I know they're in one of the semifinals in Hockey East today. So definitely will keep my eye on that as well. And the Frozen Four will be here right around the corner as well. Looking forward to that. All right, looking forward to trying to make it another bargain bin special of the night winner after we cashed with Pavel Zacha with the Boston Bruins last night. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night.
Yeah, I got a pair of them. First, we will start back at the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. 1901 West Madison. You got the Hawks taking on the Avalanche. And I'm going with Ryan Green to get a goal here. Plus 470 anytime goal scorer price you can find at FanDuel. He's had chances. Like I say, he's been chipping in still on that top line. I think he can get one in tonight. So Ryan Green plus 470. That'll be my first bargain bin special. My second one will go to that Anaheim Utah game. A couple people mentioned in the chat. Cutter Gauthier to score the first goal of the game. He's cashed in 6 of the last 10. You can get that plus 1,300. Cutter Gauthier, first goal for the Anaheim Ducks. That'll be my second bargain bin special.
All right, there we go. A couple of bargain bin specials for Alex here with this Friday slate. David, what do you got for bargain bin special of the night?
Yeah, I got two targeting the Canes Maple Leafs game. No surprise. There's a lot of long shots I like in that one with a bunch of Canes defensemen, but we're going to go with the longest shot one of all, a guy who hasn't scored all season, I don't think. We're going to go Jacob Slavin plus 1,200 anytime goal scorer. He's been shooting a lot, getting a lot more chances in the offensive zone. I think the Canes are going to dominate the offensive zone from what I said earlier. I think that the guys on the blue line are going to get a lot more shots than usual. The Leafs are giving up the most shots on goal to defensemen since the break, and the most shots on goal to all players by 5 per game. So I think the Canes are going to get a lot of chances on the blue line. I like more guys than just Slavin, guys like Sean Walker, etc. And obviously Nikishin, who I'll get into next. I like Alexander Nikishin power play point plus 425. I think it is at Bet365. He's gotten a lot of chances on the power play since Gostisbehere's been out. I think the Canes are going to control the puck as is, so I expect some more penalties on the Leafs. Nikishin's been honestly the main focus of the power play since Gostisbehere's been out. They're looking for him to shoot, and he's pretty much getting a touch the entire time. If we score on the power play, he's going to get a point. So yeah, Alexander Nikishin power play point plus 425, and yeah, that's it.
There you go. Good stuff. Hey, like I said, I know people, always say, Matt Robinson, why are you always giving out bargain bins on Dallas Stars games? Alex, why are you always giving out bargain bins on Chicago Blackhawks games? David, why are you always giving out bargain bins on Carolina Hurricanes games? Because they know the damn teams. That's why. They know the teams. And all that matters is they win. Or at least, we win some. If we win some, what the hell's the big deal? Yeah, that's the way I see it. They know the teams. Yeah, absolutely. The teams they cheer for, the teams they know the most. So it makes sense to me why they'd be going to their games for a bargain bin special of the night. For me, I've got 2 as well. I've got a Carolina Hurricane. I like it. I mentioned it already. Logan Stankoven, plus 350 for the Carolina Hurricanes. He's had success against Wool. He's a guy that scored, obviously, in 3 of the last 5 games. Great price, plus 350. He's had success against Toronto. So Logan Stankoven, Carolina, plus 350 for my first bargain bin special of the night. And the other one is going to be one of the Anaheim Ducks here, and it's going to be Troy Terry this time around for the Anaheim Ducks. When you look at he's with Carlson and Kreider on the top line. He's chipped in since he's been back. And he has had some success against Utah in past head-to-head meetings. And you're getting a pretty good price here with Troy Terry, plus 340, best price out there for Troy Terry. So Troy Terry, Anaheim, plus 340. Logan Stankoven, Carolina, plus 350 for my bargain bin specials for this Friday night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Yep, skates to the west side. We got Hawks and Avs. And like I said, this is an Avs team that should be coming in pissed off, playing some poor hockey right now. Got a Hawks team, second night of a back-to-back after a nice win here against the Wild. Like both teams to score in the first period. Plus 182 is the best price available over at FanDuel. Give me that with Chicago and Colorado. That's my Friday best bet.
There we go. Chicago, Colorado. Best bet for Alex B. Smith there. All right, David, best bet.
Yeah, I don't think I need to get much into it. You know where I'm going. We're going Carolina team total over 3.5 at minus 120. I think the Canes are going to dominate the zone, as I've said a bunch. I think that the Leafs are going to let the Canes control the puck. I think we're going to get a lot of chances controlling the zone time. Obviously, I like the over saves for Wool as well, but we're just going to go with the over 3.5 Carolina team total minus 120.
All right, there you go. I like that one. Carolina team total over 3.5 minus 120. Russell Deck, Ian's going to hit his best bet tonight. Oh, I fucking hope so, man. I fucking hope so. It's been all right for me with the NHL. Like, it's been okay. It's been up and down, but it hasn't been like terrible. But it is starting to drive me nuts, this best bet losing streak. It really is. It's starting to drive me nuts a little bit. So what I'm going to do tonight for best bet is I'm going to rely on a team that we had a great read on coming into the season. Oh, Alex liked them. I liked them. They've had a great resurgent season. We trusted them to be much improved under Joel Quenneville this season. And here they are still leading the Pacific Division. They're off a tough loss in a tough spot coming off a road trip, losing at home to Philadelphia. This time they have the rest advantage, catching Utah on a back-to-back. Utah hasn't been very good at home lately. Anaheim, the last time they played Utah, 7-0 beatdown at the hands of the Utah Mammoth at home. It's Anaheim's turn tonight for a little payback. Quack, 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 quack. Please let this be the night the drought ends. Anaheim plus 110 against Utah for my best bet here for this Friday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate you joining us. Big Saturday show tomorrow. Very much looking forward to that. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith and David, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you noon Eastern on Saturday for another edition of the Ice Guys.